What is going on, everyone? Scion's here with the Everyday Grind. In today's video, it's a special video. We're going to talk about where to live stream, and we're going to talk with Devin Nash. Actually, we're going to watch his YouTube video, and I have some comments throughout his video about where to live stream. Is it Twitch? Is it YouTube? Is it Facebook? We're going to talk about all of those things. And if you want to talk about it more, join me on my live streams every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell right here on this YouTube channel. Let's see what Devin Nash has to say about where we live stream and where I agree and disagree. Let's go. Let's pull up old Devin Nash. Here he is right here. Just a smart guy. We're going to talk about it.
Toss the channel a subscription. You can tell how excited I am. All right, let's get into it. So where to begin? Well, the absolute best place to begin is the stats. And what I want to paint here is kind of a long-term picture of where we think the live.
Oh, hell yeah, he would. I would too.
Why? It's such a great timing because as of the filming of this video, Tim the Tap Man has announced that he is going to YouTube. That was following Dr. Lupo. And I made a video about Dr. Lupo and why some creators are moving to YouTube, kind of the psychology behind it. This is going to be a very different themed video. It's going to be more about
his name is Devin Nash.
Behind these
he's actually, Jersey, he's extremely smart about streaming and viewership and stuff.
So
this is huge.
Here we go.
Oh, he's great.
So, then continue to
but he's going to get into that right here. What he's going to talk about is exactly where I'm at.
Story.
Really,
so YouTube
right?
gaming also had a great year, but then at the quarter one and quarter two of 2021,
they dropped considerably.
We've actually seen a super sharp decline in total hours watched per quarter. And I had brought this up in a previous video and want to expand on this today. The total hours streamed on YouTube looks even more harrowing, that by quarter three of 2020,
because Twitch is still the place to go here.
Unique channels also decreasing, average concurrent viewership also decreasing. In fact, average concurrent viewership decreased by about 32% on YouTube. Meanwhile, well, I said that we would cover mostly these two platforms, but I just want to
look at Facebook gaming right
here. Good Facebook
Lord.
is just crushing it on every single metric, and we're going to talk a little bit about why. Unique channels per quarter down, but everything else is up, and we'll talk a little bit about why that is. But I want to focus mostly on Twitch and YouTube here because this picture paints the stats paint a picture that is actually very different.
You
from
did
reality.
Dan. You said it was going up. It's going up a lot, but they're down in unique channels.
Less people are interested in YouTube, and there are many common reasons that this is cited, and I want to go through with a lot of cool evidence and stuff.
This is kind of a big deal.
I think so.
Devin did a really great job here.
So let's discuss what actually happened here. And then I think at the end, we'll discuss what I think my predictions for the platforms are and why. So what was the reason that YouTube gaming live declined in terms of all of these metrics, especially in the last 2 quarters?
That's because they are fighting the algorithm to advertise channels that are correct.
In order to track this, we need a weapon, nay, omni weapon of infinite power. Yes, we need the notepad. That's right.
I love how he does the notepad.
Couple things to consider here. The first thing is that a culture on YouTube Live isn't established yet.
Correct. It's not established yet. And that's because they're still working on it. They're hiring a bunch of people. They're innovating. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Twitch really isn't doing a whole lot right now with this. And YouTube, as we can plainly see, is going out. They're trying to build their live audience. They're going out to Twitch and going, hey, you know what? I'm going to take your best guy. And I'm going to take 2 and 3 of them and 4 of them and your best gal. And I'm going to build this up. And then we're going to beat you. That's what YouTube's doing right now.
This is going to be a big theme. So remember this one because it's going to come back up. The culture on YouTube Live isn't established yet. They haven't trained users to watch live content because it's a VOD-based platform.
Correct.
Okay? So
they're changing that.
Twitch is easier to learn.
I agree.
Because they're first to market.
Which
and
is
everyone
important.
Understands.
First to market is huge.
It's a streaming platform.
Yep.
It's kind of known as the live streaming place.
Yep.
So if you think about the type of people that would have come in as a result of the pandemic, they would have been people that are stuck indoors looking for new things to do and are being introduced to live streaming platforms.
I had a great 2020.
Like Twitch as a new thing, and they would immediately be able to onboard that this is a live streaming medium and this is probably the best place to do it. This is the largest place to do it. Whereas people that would be on YouTube gaming, it's a more niche or segmented audience that would not necessarily be gamers. So keep in mind, when we're talking about any kind of YouTube gaming versus Twitch statistics, this is very important. We are talking
people
about
go outside
YouTube
now. It's a big deal.
Gaming live. We are not talking about all of the live streams on YouTube, which is a vastly different number than this, right? Well,
he's just talking about gaming
about
specifically.
YouTube versus Twitch or YouTube anything, we want to keep in context that the amount of users that are on YouTube is so much unfathomably greater than the amount of users on Twitch. So we are talking about one segment of YouTube and the live segment of YouTube versus the entire platform of Twitch. And even then, these numbers are pretty comparable, right? There's 20, it's about 23, I have it written down. I think it's 65% of the streaming market is Twitch and 23% is YouTube as of the time of this recording, which puts you at about 3 viewers on Twitch for every one viewer
Dr.
on
Disrespect
YouTube,
playing together.
Live gaming section, okay? So the total live presence of YouTube is massive, and the VOD presence of YouTube, which is the core of their website, is even greater still. So keeping all of that in context, when we're thinking in this exclusive niche of like, okay, I want to stream video games or I want to watch video games be played, where do I do that? Of course, culturally right now, Twitch comes up as that answer and probably will for the foreseeable future, like 1 to 3 years, because YouTube hasn't developed a culture yet. And by culture, I mean, there's a sort of, it's a weird subjective feeling. It's like, there's no data for this. It's like, when you think about live streaming, do you think about Twitch or do you think about YouTube?
GCX event?
And
don't know.
Right now, you think about Twitch.
Don't know.
Most people that are in the know on this think about Twitch. You think about Twitch because Twitch is first to market. Twitch established its brand as a live streaming platform.
Yes, it did.
And it exists in that way. Now, this isn't necessarily always the case, right? People used to think of shipping as like UPS or horse carriages, right? or you would drive a letter across the United States to get it to somebody. Now we think of things like Amazon being a huge aspect of shipping, right?
Amazon is huge lot of their own shipping
sources
so
and things like that.
Twitch is not going to last forever here.
Ways to change market perception that we're going to cover today. So Twitch is easier to learn. So there were a lot more people onboarding to that platform. But there's more than that, right? There's some less obvious stuff that I think is really cool.
This is where it gets really interesting here.
That large creators probably declined streaming hours on YouTube, and collaboration content, so things like Among Us, etc., declined as well.
Yes.
In Q1, Q2, 2021. So there's a quote from Valkyrie here, and this was in January.
And I didn't know this. This is a big deal.
Said, quote, I signed a contract with YouTube a year ago, and as some of you don't know, some of you did learn later, I have streaming hours to fulfill, and I owe 100 hours a month, but I went a little crazy and streamed too much last year, which is very bad for my health. 100 hours a month, pay attention to that number. Usually Twitch contracts are like twice that number. So if you have a Twitch contract, that means that if you're working a 40-hour week, that's 160 hours. So if you have a Twitch contract and you're having to stream 200 hours to fulfill that contract, so 100 hours a month, that's not bad. I mean, what's the math on that, right? We're looking at 100 divided by 30 days. That's 3 hours a day. That's 3 hours a day, 6 hours a day or more if you have to go. Actually, 7 hours every day, like not taking a day off. That means if you miss a day, you've got to stream like 12, 14 hours. Like Twitch is really, with these guys with their contracts, like Tim the Tap Man and Dr. Lupo, they're really putting the screws to these guys. And that's basically the equivalent of a part-time job.
Yep.
So the requirements, this is Courage also, I couldn't find the quote, but I know Courage also spoke to having a similar contract. So if we can assume that a lot of YouTube's top creators are just not required to stream the same amount of hours, they would have front-loaded a lot of those hours in the beginning of the year, and then you would have seen a decline because YouTube Gaming Live is just not a diversified enough platform yet that it would be able to.
That's crazy,
a
though.
few broadcasters
That's
could bring
crazy.
down
He hasn't been
concurrent
streaming
viewership
lately
quite a bit because again, the platform is very new and growing. So whereas if some people on Twitch took a break, it would be less noticeable because the entire platform is dedicated to live streaming, although it still would be noticeable. Like if XQC took a break for let's say 6 months,
or Soda Pop,
that would represent
there's
about
another
1%
one, right?
of Twitch's viewership. At least when he was getting about 90 to 100K people. So that's a pretty huge number. Like 1 out of every 100 people would effectively be off the website as far as the stats would be concerned. It's not that simple, but that's a way to think about it. Versus, but XQC won't take that kind of break because, and this is kind of the crux of, he came up with, there's actually 10 ways to monetize on YouTube versus Twitch's 3. So you look at things like YouTube Premium, you look at Super Thanks, you look at merchandise shelves, you look at YouTube Brand Connect, you look at creator
but this is for
funding.
YouTube partners.
YouTube has a massive.
Let's be clear. This is for YouTube partners. So for me right now, the 3 ways to monetize on Twitch, bits and recurring subscriptions, that's where I'm going to make money on Twitch. If I were to stop right now and go straight to YouTube, I would have to rely on straight donations. And that's all I would have. That's the only thing.
And then in addition, they have all the other things that Twitch has too. Ads, subscriptions, the donations in chats, super chats, right? So YouTube understands that the brand of a broadcaster is not just them streaming, and they're okay with issuing contracts that are significantly less requirements on broadcasters.
Less restrictive.
Because they understand that there's all these other monetization methodologies. And that's really that's really good to creators. That's like one of the reasons why people like Lupo and Tim the Tapman are moving.
But again, when you're streaming and you're starting out, it's not about making money, right? And we're going to get into that a little later in the video where he says something. And like I said, I am the guy he's talking to right now.
YouTube, because it's so much less stress to be able to broadcast 100 hours and then focus on your brand or your family or whatever you want to do.
Yep, Tim the Tapman right there.
Diversify into evergreen content, right? It's so much better. So YouTube understands that, and the less hours a month means that these stats don't tell the whole story because you might see a decline in total hours streamed. Look how brutal this decline is from Q2 to Q3. Well, if they've already fulfilled their streaming hours in the first
month,
year
or the first part of the year,
they might decline, and that decline makes sense going into
into 1,200 hours a year.
Okay, so that could be another reason.
That's not bad.
But also, I think another big reason for this is YouTube probably changed the algorithm. So what do I mean by that? So average concurrent viewers and watched hours tanked, right? So if we look back at the stats and we look at the YouTube Gaming total hours streamed and total hours watched and average CCVs, they declined quite a bit. But weirdly,
here we go.
Channels on YouTube only declined about 10%. So from Q1 to Q2, so roughly a 10% decline. But in the same amount of time, there was like a 32% decline in average concurrent viewership. So what happened? Well, most likely what happened was YouTube changed the algorithm to prioritize live streaming a little bit less. And this is something that I really want to start getting into.
They're not quite ready, I don't think. They're making their moves obviously right now, but they're not quite ready.
I have every point that I want before I transition into this section, because this is where we're going to start getting super serious. Okay. Everybody always goes like, yeah, what the heck's going on? Why does YouTube never build a directory? Are they just silly? Like, did they just not realize this?
They don't need a directory, I think
a lot of people legitimately think that YouTube is just ignoring this problem.
Nope.
So I'm going to reference Ryan Watt, who is otherwise known as Fwiz. This dude is the head of YouTube Gaming. Okay, so he's the dude that runs the entire platform for live.
Here's the difference between YouTube and Twitch right now.
This problem. Dissolution Twitch partner here. What are your thoughts for planning and improving discoverability? A lot of YouTube feels better, but in many ways it falls behind even Twitch for discovery. Not true, right? Do you have a roadmap? Ryan responds, recommendation is incredible for discovery. We just do it differently from Twitch. And I assure that that's better for creators vying to gain traction. Let's look at some more stuff. He says in this comment, YouTube has some tech advantages as well. 4K streaming, higher bitrate
Which
streaming,
is
more discoverable
huge.
VODs after streams could be edited. And for live discoverability, no one's really cracked that yet. I wouldn't knock on YouTube individually. Look at Ryan's response. Yes, I'm not sold that that's the best way to do it, is game pages and stack ranked CCU streamers by highest viewed. That's currently how Twitch has it. So what he's saying is, I'm not sure that's the best way to do it is directories, because this creates a bad viewer behavior that turns platforms into kingmakers of the biggest streamers, which is that drives disproportionate amounts of watch time to the head. So
if you have, what he's saying is if you have a bunch of big time streamers and no one watches anyone else, right? You're not diversifying that. So YouTube, if you think about it, you need a high ground, a middle ground, and a low ground. You need to diversify that because some people are going to grow, some people aren't, right? Some people are going to be mid-level, high level, low level, whatever it is. But you're spreading it out. And the more you spread it out, I only watch big streamers. Oh, thank you. So you have to diversify this.
Like, this is not an example of YouTube ignoring the problem. This is a very high level and super forward thinking thing that Ryan is doing here. What he is saying is that YouTube has already considered the discoverability problem.
You need more.
Consciously decided that they're going to take a different approach. What approach? They are going to try to use algorithmic learning and search to drive their existing user base, 2 billion plus users,
which is a lot. It's a lot more than
live
Twitch.
Content that they want to see. It's not that YouTube is ignoring this problem. YouTube is actually trying to fix the problem that Twitch never was able to do. Twitch's only answer to discoverability has been might makes right. The only way that you get discovered on Twitch is if you already have a lot of viewers. And the people that are mostly successful on Twitch have either driven those viewers from YouTube, especially recently, or other platforms, or they were already successful when there weren't enough streamers on the platform to prove that out. So YouTube, identifying that, has said, okay, we actually want to provide a solution to smaller to medium level creators. And this is the biggest deal right there. Very difficult problem to solve.
Another revelation?
To solve this
Go ahead.
with millions of dollars of R&D and ML. It's research that Twitch has never wanted to do. It's research that YouTube has successfully done for their VOD platform. So if you go look for a video that's like top Fortnite plays or something, or the best ways to grow on Twitch, you will not necessarily get suggested the video that has the most amount of views. You'll get suggested a video
everywhere
that is worth your time based on YouTube's perception of that. So if you go to your homepage and you go to your recommended page, most of those videos, at least in my case, are videos that I want to watch. They're videos that YouTube understands based on my watch history and based on my viewing habits that I would want to watch because I'm interested in that sort of content. So and
let's remember, none of this is a right now thing. Like, none of it is. If you're gonna stream and do all this stuff, man, it takes time, like a lot of time. People don't realize this. Like, this is a patience game. It doesn't matter when you make it, as long as you make it, right? That's the big deal.
I'm telling you right now, and this is the big thing to keep in mind for YouTube Gaming Live, and I think the center reason of why I think that YouTube Gaming Live is going to dominate despite the stats we're seeing, I think the stats don't tell the story. It's because YouTube is investing in solving the very difficult problems that Twitch ignored.
I mean, if you take me, for example, when I first started streaming, I didn't know anyone that streamed. Like, I started out 3 years ago with really not knowing anything. I would say right now where I'm at streaming and with my YouTube and stuff, I'm pretty successful for starting out with nothing. We're starting out with me streaming, like, and nobody knows. It does, who you know does help, yes, but you've got to go outside of that, and you've got to make content outside of Twitch. What he's saying here is that he's saying that with YouTube, you can post your videos, you can live stream, you can do it all on a much more highly accessible platform other than Twitch, because Twitch just goes, oh, here's everyone up here that you should watch, and everyone else below this, yeah, don't worry about it.
He's an executive, right? He's responding to people that have 50 viewers, and he's doing this every day. Like, this guy's.
So if you're looking at this guy, this Ryan Wyatt, do you feel as if the barrier to partnership on YouTube is still too high to get partner status? Would love your thoughts here. Like, he asked the community, what do you think? Twitch is a lot like Blizzard Entertainment right now. I think it should be a little hard. I agree, because you need to prove yourself. You need to say, hey, I have content people want to watch. You've got to work at it. Absolutely. I don't think the barrier is too high. Again, but the advantages of the 4K streaming, the higher bit rate and all that stuff, that's already better, right? Transcoding.
The people at YouTube know what they're doing. I saw Susan, who's the CEO of YouTube herself, personally congratulate Tim the Tatman and Dr. Lupo on moving over.
Well,
when is the last time you saw a Twitch executive of any significance doing this?
Come on now.
I'll give you a hint. I've never seen it. Okay, like, when's the last time you saw Emmett or Sarah or any of those people actually going in and just like answering people's concerns? They don't do it, right? This is not. Like, people that are sleeping on YouTube Live, this is not you got to look at the team. This is not an example of a person that doesn't care. This is an example of people that are really dialed in and like actually care about their community, and they're listening. They're talking to people that have like 50 viewers. I DM
That's
these
a big
people
deal,
and they respond
right?
to me, right? I run an agency, okay, that represents the top 1% of people on Twitch. I've talked to Susan. I've talked to Sarah one time. I've talked to most of the Twitch executives a handful of times. I get in contact with VPs or directors because I'm lucky enough.
This is a big deal.
I can reach out
and this
to
is
some
a
of those
big
people,
corporate
and
deal,
sometimes
right?
they'll talk to me. The amount of reception. I recall Charlie, Voice Critical, like awesome dude. He had a problem and he made a YouTube video about it. And Susan, the CEO of YouTube, just called him. just called him like on the phone, like, hey, let's talk about this. And it completely changed his perception of it. Like,
the reason why people don't watch YouTube Live for gaming is because the culture isn't built yet. So what do? Hey, you know what? We can do it better than Twitch. We're pretty sure we can. We're going to go to Twitch when these guys' contracts are up. We're going to take them. And we're going to say, hey, you can come watch these guys here, which is going to open up all kinds of things on YouTube right now. It's just, it's a big play.
that's point number 2. So this is point number 1. How YouTube solves discovery.
Yep.
And this is point number 2. YouTube builds a culture. What do all these people have in common? They play FPSs together.
Yep.
Tim the Tatman is a huge pickup because he picked up, he was a person that played with Dr. Disrespect all the time.
Yep.
And so
Huge,
what
it's massive.
YouTube is trying to do here, and you can see this through this kind of interaction that Ryan's doing and other executives, right? It's not just him. There's a lot of people at YouTube that really care. There's a lot of people that are involved directly with the community and make YouTube. They do exist. Like, I think the best example of this is Marcus, DJ Wheat, who really, really cares and tries. Like, I'm not trying to, I know a lot of Twitch staff watch this, and many of you do try really hard to outreach, but I think would argue.
So the problem is when you're in a big corporation, you're a big company like Twitch. Twitch is a huge company, right? Part of Amazon. So when you're working for a corporate company, there's only so much the middleman can do. You can care as much as you want. You can put in as many hours as you want. But at the end of the day, it's your boss and your boss's boss making those decisions about how the platform runs, who's going to get what, all of those things, discoverability. This is just what we're going to do. And then Devin makes a really, really big point here coming up.
Argue that the majority of your executive counterparts do not, right? And the few handful of people that do outreach, you know who you are, and you probably know me, and I've shouted you out before. But a specific shout out to Marcus at DJ Wheat, who makes big effort at this. So the idea that the ceiling on YouTube, because of the total user base, is so much higher than the ceiling on Twitch.
There's billions of users on YouTube.
And going, man, like,
billions.
What am I doing here, right? And Asmongold also just recently said that he looked at his total viewed hours on.
So listen to this. Asmongold looked at his total viewed hours with playing Final Fantasy 14 online. Kind of a big deal here. Like the amount of viewership was massive
on Final Fantasy 14. And he compared the viewable hours he got live on Twitch versus the viewable hours he got on YouTube. Want to guess what that number was?
It's
it was
massive.
14 million viewed live hours on Twitch.
On Twitch.
But it was 50 million on YouTube.
50 million on YouTube.
3 times the viewership
50
on
million.
YouTube off of Final Fantasy 14, and he was killing it live.
I don't disagree that sometimes Asmongold is the architect of his own prison. I get that, but he's got to do something about his. He could capitalize on the big time, but he's got to work on his community, man. His community, I get it, and sometimes he's that way. I don't think Zach is that way now. Like he's not the same person. He's not Asmongold, but he plays Asmongold, and I think that's a big deal. And I think that plays into why he doesn't have a contract with Twitch, and I think it may play into why he doesn't get offered a contract into YouTube. Oh, he's way different than day one. Absolutely.
And probably half the stress because he didn't have to deal with the chat and all the other things.
But so I can tell you right now, if Asmongold moves to YouTube, what's the big deal? He's already a YouTube partner, right? So because he's already made it. All he has to do is just switch. He's there. He's golden. And remember, there's 10 ways to monetize on YouTube. There's only 3 on Twitch. Only 3.
And YouTube is trying to build a culture around this. YouTube understands this, and they know that if they can get these core users, these core streamers here,
deal.
Especially like the Tim the Tap Man, Dr. Disrespect, and Dr. Lupo, they're such 5-head plays. Oh my God. Because all those people will play together, all those people will collab.
Yep.
And I guarantee you will see Q3 and Q4 YouTube viewership.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
It definitely will. And this kind of brings me to point number 3, which is why isn't Twitch keeping these people?
And here it comes.
And
Here's the big deal. I agree with him here.
Do I have it? Did I put it down? There was a recent clip from Asmongold. I did put it down. Let's listen.
Twitch. So I don't have, I guess I can just say transparency. Twitch did not offer me a custom contract. They did not offer me. I was going to see if I could get one. They would not give me one.
So Asmongold goes on in this clip to say that he thinks it's because it might be that he's a brand risk, but I would disagree. I think that Twitch is not, because we looked at Dr. Lupo and we also looked at
a brand risk. So I get that.
These are really big names that Twitch should be keeping. In my previous video on Dr. Lupo, I gave a whole dissertation on why I thought Dr. Lupo was a phenomenal keep for Twitch. Twitch is not keeping these people because of brand risks or because obviously Dr. Lupo is not a brand risk. Tim the Tapman is not a brand risk. These guys are the people that you put
the best part
on your banner at TwitchCon, right? Dr. Lupo, we donated $14 million to St. Jude. This is the guy that you highlight for your brand. Yep. So it's not, I don't think it's Asmongold not getting an offer because he was a brand risk. I think he is not getting an offer because I think Twitch is running out of budget. And this is a complete different guess, but
because Amazon runs their businesses differently.
Twitch has been struggling to be profitable in a overarching ecosystem of Amazon that does not benefit from running a live streaming platform. We've talked before about products like IVS, which is Amazon's streaming service that they have, that they can farm out, where they can create little Twitches anywhere.
Which is why, they're kind of showing us, we've got boost the stream stuff for you guys, for you up and coming streamers and all this other stuff. There's no budget. Amazon doesn't care because Amazon wants to sell the product. They want to sell the product.
For any kind of reason, you can literally just go to Amazon IVS, and it's called Interactive Video Service. It's it's going to be your first Google result, and I encourage you to check it out. And it's build engaging live stream experiences. So you can just sign up for this and it will give you the backend that Twitch has off AWS.
Yeah.
So this is the extent of Amazon's interest in this technology. It's to outsource CDN. Obviously, Amazon is much less invested in something like Twitch than YouTube would be because Amazon is a market platform. They sell products. They sell. They work with vendors to sell things on Amazon. The big reason why they acquired Twitch, I think, is because they saw Twitch as a superior technology than anything available.
And
at the time, the content delivery network from Twitch was really impressive, and still is actually. Though I think YouTube has eclipsed it in their ability to play back videos and such.
Yep.
So at the time, the acquisition of that technology was valuable. And secondarily, the
Jeff
ability
Bezos,
to outsource that technology
swooped right in. We need to have this. This is a big deal.
And then tertiary,
this is the future.
The ability to funnel people up for Amazon Prime accounts was probably a big reason. And to pay $1 billion for all that is a pretty good deal. So Amazon doesn't have as vested of an interest in keeping large broadcasters or creators for these reasons, which I think leads to, and so then in addition, Amazon always heavily prioritizes profit.
See, that's just it. So does Amazon give up Twitch? Do they sell it to YouTube? I don't think so. So we're watching where the future of streaming is going, and it's shifting. It's beginning to shift away from Twitch, Perksy, and we're talking about that right now.
Amazon is one of the most profitable companies on earth.
I agree.
And also one of the highest market cap. Twitch has consistently failed to generate a profit for years. And Amazon is going to adjust their budgets accordingly in order for Twitch to kind of giving the message Twitch shape up, or, you know, like.
And I can tell you right now, big companies do that. Kroger does that all the time. Kroger does it. Like Nike does it. All of these big companies, when you've got a division of your company that isn't making money, you don't get the budget. Like, they're going to keep that money where they're making money. And if you're not profitable, and you can work 1 million hours and make that profitable, and then your budgets will go up. But they don't care how many hours you work to make it profitable. It's all about money now, just like everyday people. It's about money now. So when you're running a big business and one of your divisions is not performing, you're not going to get that money. Or they sell it, yes, or they sell it, correct.
We're going to keep dropping budget. We're going to keep doing these things. So I just want to state,
but that's all this speculation. Really, I don't have working hard.
I don't talk to anybody at Twitch that would give me any particular insight into this. And if I did, I wouldn't bring up those points. But
yes, utility companies do it all the time.
It's really interesting to think that all of these creators leaving.
And Devin's going to talk about this. The biggest part is that, so there's Twitch executives right now, they're leaving at the end of the year. They're not going to be there. They're gone. So whoever's running the company right now, they've already given their notice. They're gone. They're gonzo. They're done. So what does that mean? It's a big deal.
Lower offers from Twitch, or they didn't get any offer at all, like in Asmongold's case.
Because they don't have the money.
Me that Twitch is, compared to 2 years ago, when Twitch was handing out contracts to long-term streamers who had way less incentive at the time to leave.
Correct.
Because YouTube gaming wasn't proven.
Correct.
Because Facebook wasn't like producing like the insane deals that they're producing now. They were willing to put that money towards some of their oldest content creators to keep them. Yeah. And now that those contracts are being renewed, it's not clear to me that that's the same. So Twitch, I think, may be suffering from lower budgets.
Yep. I think he's onto something here.
And
I think
then
it's pretty smart.
We kind of put that into context of some of the top executives like Sarah announcing that they're leaving.
They're leaving.
It starts to kind of add up that Twitch as a platform may be having some problems in keeping its top content creators. Yep. So YouTube and going back to Ryan have said many times that they are super intentional with the way that they acquire streamers. So when they make a decision to sponsor a streamer, offer a paid contract, they're doing so because they believe in that broadcaster's ability to bring events, shows, and special things to the platform. They don't need to blanket 50 to 100 offers to the top broadcasters on Twitch and just pull everybody off the platform. They don't need to. They feel like their product offering is strong enough to not do that, and I agree. I think the budget 100%. They keep for this is limited, not because they don't have it, but because they choose to use it in a way that is very deliberate.
Like when I stream live on YouTube, I'm not a partner, so I don't have all the bells and whistles. So for me to stop what I'm doing on Twitch and move over and do Facebook and YouTube Live, like any kind of monetization at this point it's just not good. Not good for me.
This isn't ads. Amazon's business is product. Amazon has ad platforms, but it's a very small percentage of their business compared to Google. So they're not going to prioritize that as strongly. And you just look at the way that these companies think and you realize, oh, a budget is much easier to justify through something like YouTube, especially because YouTube has been profitable for years now.
Of Devin's notepad, he was actually talking about that. YouTube is actually actively working on discoverability and that kind of stuff.
Those requests are much easier to go through, whereas it's going to be like trudging through mud for somebody like Twitch to approach to deliver a white paper to Amazon and say, hey, we want to justify this budget. Because the way that Amazon is going to look at that is they're going to say, okay, how many Prime accounts is this going to create for us? Where's the profit in this? Like Amazon
Correct.
is historically a company, again, that heavily prioritizes profit. So these are some big reasons that I'm wondering, like, why is Twitch like not able to hold on to these broadcasters, and why wouldn't they put up like a big fight and offer a comparable contract for somebody like Asmongold or Dr. Lupo?
And they should,
right?
And they should be.
I don't think that YouTube has to try very hard to acquire these people. I think they say, look, you want to stream less hours? We'll give you some money. It'll certainly be FU money, right? But here are some of the things we're thinking. Here's some of the success we've had. Hey, come take a look at our other creators like Courage and Valkyrie and Dr. Disrespect and see that they haven't declined in viewership at all. In fact, their streams are thriving. And they also have all these additional monetization methods to
10 different monetization methods,
and they do it with less time. That's a pretty good sales pitch to me, man. YouTube's starting to look really good right now. So I don't think that the stats tell the story. They don't always, right? For smaller creators,
here we go.
Right now,
here it is. This is
who I consider like
me.
Less than 100 viewers.
Yep.
Discoverability goes like
horrible.
This. Yep. Number one right now, I still think is actually Facebook. I'm just going to talk a little bit about that in a second. Number two is YouTube, and I'd say number like 9,985 is Twitch.
Absolutely.
It's a terrible platform to be discovered by small creators. You go into the directory, you scroll down for 5 hours, you might find the creator you're looking for, who's like one of hundreds of thousands that are streaming Fortnite at any given time.
Yep.
But if you go on YouTube, and YouTube figures out the discoverability problem in the next 1 to 2 years, and they keep driving machine learning to the platform and trying to figure it out, I think you're going to see very quickly that it becomes easier to be discoverable on YouTube. And even right now, if you just do VOD content, it's easier to be discovered on YouTube than Twitch.
I agree.
Especially for smaller creators. Larger creators, Twitch is easy discoverability. No argument.
No,
Facebook,
you're at the
though,
top.
Let's like just diverge a little bit into Facebook. And again, I'm going to make a dedicated video on Facebook because I think everybody is sleeping on Facebook. But a couple of points on Facebook.
Here we go.
Videos autoplay. And so do streams. Facebook, with its existing audience, also 2 bill plus users,
which is a lot,
can drive traffic infinitely to streams. And they do this through a system called boosting. So anybody that's familiar with Facebook and has streamed on Facebook, Facebook will just boost your stream. They'll just send you users. And these are not like bots or like bad users. These are real users. These are people who who exist and talk in your stream. And Facebook can basically send an unlimited number of those people. Like if they want a stream to have 30,000 viewers, they just have it. But Twitch can't do that. Twitch has no repertoire of people. I mean, they could like go post on their social media and say, go watch the stream and do it. But Facebook has a automatic methodology of doing that. Another thing to consider about Facebook, and this applies to YouTube as well, as second and third world culture is way more Facebook oriented and YouTube.
Stop. So if you're looking at me, and like I said, this part of the video was made for people like me who've been on Twitch a while. And nope, I don't personally. Let me tell you why. So second and third world culture is way more Facebook oriented. And YouTube, I would say it's more YouTube oriented. Absolutely. So what happens is there's not a lot of people that have Twitch outside of this. Just saying. I absolutely agree with him here. Because I've seen it.
Twitch has not done very well in second and third worlds. There are some exceptions to this rule, like the Spanish streamers, but generally speaking, YouTube and Facebook are way ahead in terms of the acquisition of users from second and third world countries. The reason for this is actually really simple. It's that it's really hard to watch a Twitch stream bandwidth wise. It's really hard to stream on Twitch too, upload wise.
How many of you have tried to watch
internet connections just aren't
how many of you have tried to watch a stream on your phone?
They can match up with someone with something like YouTube and Facebook,
YouTube
which have preloading,
Facebook, you can, no problem.
That just makes it easier to view. So a lot of the culture of like Southeast Asia, for example, is very Facebook oriented. A lot of the culture of Brazil and a lot of cultures of South America are very Facebook oriented. It's extremely common for people to use Facebook there. It's extremely common for people to watch YouTube videos there. India, right? Which is we had a person named Evux on.
Well, and that's just it, right? So the Twitch mobile web app is utter garbage. It is utter garbage. We all know this. What has Twitch done to fix it? Nothing. YouTube has fixed it. Facebook has fixed it. right? So there it is. There again, it's a budget thing. I fully and firmly believe that Devin Nash is right. It's a budget issue.
Our Discord server, who brought up a really interesting point that has anyone mentioned Twitch India situation? YouTube gaming has a massive user base in India. Twitch shut down its original India ingest servers in 2018.
There you go. There's a whole country of
Meanwhile,
viewers.
they launched them back again in February this year. Could the drop of YouTube's numbers be partly due to Twitch now competing in one of their biggest markets, right? So these YouTube and Facebook already have enormous audiences established in South America, in India, in
huge. This is a
Southeast
big deal.
Asia. And these are things that are going to continue because it's just very difficult to build technology for live.
Okay, so let's just kind of stop right there. So basically, he just goes on to say from here that this is just kind of where it is. And he says that YouTube and Facebook and Twitch, again, 99.85 in discoverability. So a person like me, realistically, I don't need to make money on Twitch. What I want to do is I want to talk to more people. I want to be discovered by more people, right? So what do? Do I stay on Twitch? It doesn't look like it, does it? It doesn't look like it from here. It looks like right now Twitch is the place to be, but there's no discoverability. I will probably stay where I'm at, but I'm doing some other things, right? I'm posting on YouTube. I get my content out there. But you've got Facebook and YouTube. If they're working on this right now, like there are so many users on Twitch. What's to stop them for just going, hey, you know what? I don't care about this. I don't care about my affiliate contract. Who cares? I'm not making any money. Boom, you just move over and you just stream to another platform where you can be more discoverable. It's a big deal. It's a massive deal. So the short answer, where do I stream? If I'm a new streamer, not on Twitch. Not on Twitch. That's obvious with where things are going right now. And I think, again, like I said, with YouTube, I think that Nick Merckx is going to go over there, and I think they're going to go after a few more. Again, Asmongold self-admittedly said he thinks he's a brand risk. I agree with Devin Nash. I don't think so. I think that he may end up moving himself. We're going to have to wait and see. That's my take on the whole thing. That's it. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. But I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this just chatting because this guy really spoke to me about really where things are at. I can't agree more. I can't agree more. Devin Nash, you're a smart dude. You're a smart dude. So, all right. I tell you what, let's take a break. Let's get into some last epoch. I'm really thinking about some things right now, Thousand Dan, because I can stream to Facebook and YouTube at the same time.